as Thunder before the end of the season, maybe?
Yeah, you will. But Blackbird carries us out for most of the first season, as you can see. And it's really cool. It's really cool to play Blackbird because she's a lot different from who Thunder is. She's darker, which is fun. She doesn't have it all together, and she doesn't always do the right thing the way Thunder does, but she does it her way because she thinks it's the right way, and she thinks it's what Freeland needs right now. So it's fun being a little bad. It's fun going opposite of what Jefferson thinks is right for me. I think what we see most with Anissa this season that she's come into her own even more from season 2, and she's really, seeing herself as an adult and realizing that she runs her life. She appreciates what she's learned from her father, but also she feels like what she's doing is the best thing, the best way.
I noticed that there's a lot more action that you're doing this season. How much fun has it been to do, especially this season with the action?
It's been really, really fun. I tell people all the time that doing stunts is like a dance, and I grew up like as a dancer, cheerleader, so that's all stunts is. It's a choreography. It's a 1, 2, 8 count. And it's really good for the body. I feel like it keeps me youthful. It keeps me excited. I don't come and just learn lines and just, do what most people come to work and do as an actor. I have a lot of fun. I'm jumping around. I'm learning. I'm dancing in a sense, and it's really fun.
Let's talk about ThunderGrace.
Hey.
Everybody just shifted, and now it's happening. How does Anissa feel now going forward, knowing about Grace, knowing everything, and even seeing how Grace handles emotion? When Anissa and her father got into it, and it freaked Grace out. It made her change. How does Anissa handle all this going forward?
I think Anissa is really happy to have found someone who understands her. I think that's what the common interest is. With me first knowing who I was and her not knowing, now that I know who she is, I feel like it's somebody who I can relate to. It's somebody who I understand. And I think when we get into relationships, we want to find that commonality that we have with other people, where we have things in common and we can understand what each other is going through when no one else can. I think that's what partnership is about. So she's really just happy that she can let her hair down. She hasn't told anyone really who she is other than her family. So to be able to open up and trust someone else and let them in on who she really is and understand them for who they are, I think it's a match.
Going into that, fans were kind of freaking out because it felt very nonchalant that Anissa just told Grace who she was. Are we going to get to see Grace sort of react to Anissa's secret identity?
Yeah, you will, because it's who she is at the core. It's literally what her everyday life is like. So if you're gonna be with somebody, they're gonna see that side of you. And she takes control and lets her know that she's got everything together as best as she thinks she does. So yeah, we'll see some of that.
Can you speak a little bit more about Anissa and Jennifer's relationship? Because it is growing, it's evolving. Now Anissa is a bit darker as Blackbird.
Mm-hmm.
She still has that heart for her sister. Jennifer's also kind of going through her own things with the ASA and Agent Odell, and then also having, being the most powerful, Pierce of them all.
Yeah.
So can you talk about their relationship as the season continues, just a little bit more of the dynamic between them?
Yeah, I think we'll always maintain that sister friendship relationship that we've created with us. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. I love it. It's authentic. We have so much fun working together. We go off book. We just create our own little world, but it's very real to who we are in real life with each other. So that always works. But I think we're really, I know we're living in our own kind of worlds. Like everybody's doing their own thing and what they feel is right to do, and even secrets amongst each other. Maybe I'm not telling her as much. I don't know what she's doing as much with the ASA or at all, even at first. So that's an interesting dynamic where at once she felt like she could talk to her about so much and vice versa, but it's like we're all kind of doing our own thing and doing what we think is right for Freeland. So that's what's interesting to see when we all come back together or not.
What?
Go ahead.
What do you think about, because obviously it's not the Thunder suit, what do you think about the Blackbird outfit, and what do you think about the similarities to Sister Night from Watchmen?
Yeah, it's funny, I just watched Watchmen Saturday, and I thought it was really, really, really good. I like the Blackbird costume. It's a lot easier to get into. It's a lot easier to fight in. Thunder's costume is no joke, but I'll always, at the core, love the Thunder costume because of how it just looks really strong, and I feel like I have some superpower strength of my own when I put it on. But Blackbird, it's been really cool. I just think she's badass, and I think the dark side of all of it is really, really cool. I love how we went from just like leggings to a hoodie to a more defined costume for her this season, and it's been really, really exciting again to just switch it up and play. You know, I'm now playing 3 characters on the show, so that's really fun that I never really get stuck or bored with one area. I get to like just jump around and play with all of them, which is fun. And I think for me, it's been really fun playing Blackbird because of how bad she is. I don't want to always play the character who has it all together and do what everyone thinks is the right thing to do. So yeah, that's how I feel about Blackbird. I'm feeling her. I like how ruthless she is and how opposite she is from Thunder.
What's been your favorite scene this season and your least favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene this season, well, clearly it's going to be one that you guys already watched. Let's see. My favorite scene. That's tough. Again, a lot of my favorite scenes are with China. We just have that much fun together. So those sister moments are ones that I always look forward to. I think the scene that was really, really interesting and where Anissa was like, you know what, I'm really stepping into who I am and you're gonna respect me with Jefferson is when he came in the house. What was it, just this past episode? And we like had it out. And it seemed really, really harsh, but again, that's Blackbird's way of viewing things and feeling like she's doing the right thing for her community. So that scene for me, those scenes where Jefferson and I bump heads are always really, really just fun. And I think for women, it's empowering as well to just stand our ground and stand for what we believe in and stand up to anybody, even if it's our parents, if they don't feel like what we're doing is the right thing or agreeing, and they don't have to. But I love how strong and grounded that scene was.
So, in season 1, Jefferson had that moment where he almost killed Tobias, and the argument was that like he would lose a part of his soul for like kind of going over to the dark side. Mm-hmm. Here, your character is embracing a darker kind of set of behaviors.
Yeah.
Should we feel worried about Anissa's soul being at risk?
It's a good question. Should we feel, again, it's just the differences between the characters, and she has a by any means is necessary kind of a vibe, and it's almost to her, it's either kill or be killed. It's like survival of the fittest these days here in Freeland. So it's like, I think our mentality is it's either we do this or it's gonna happen to us. And I don't think she's soulless. I think that she is just doing what needs to be done. And sometimes that doesn't always look like the good thing or the right thing. But I think for her survival, for her family survival, for the survival of Freeland is literally like falling apart. And it's not, it's falling apart even more from season 1. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just about her doing what she feels is necessary for her community, for her family, for herself.
Let's talk about Anissa's evolution and having her own place now.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a little.
Her place is fly.
It's fly.
Oh my God.
Not only is it fly.
That chandelier.
Can we talk about the fact her Alexa is named Shonda?
Shonda. And kudos to Salim and to our producers and our writers for just making sure that we stay black.
Yeah, because that was the thing I noticed the most.
We're not gonna name her Alexa. We know Shonda to be.
And like it was a sister's voice for real. I was like, okay.
I thought it was such a dope twist. And what's funny is I just recently bought a house and I got an Alexa, so I understood like how to talk to Shonda and like how it works. Because had I not had an Alexa, I wouldn't have known what to do or how to talk to her, how to control it. But the fact that her name is Shonda is so real to me, and I think that's us making sure that we stick to the authenticity of who we are as a show from season 1 and never forgetting who we're doing it for and why we're doing this show.
Yeah. The question I had to ask you was, there's a big, you're pretty much Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
And
which is fine, isn't that they call
I know.
season?
And not even that, Blackbird is literally a leader among everybody in Freeland. How does that feel to be pretty much a civil rights leader in Freeland?
Man, it feels like, you mean for the character or for myself?
Character and a little bit yourself.
Yeah, I would say for me as an artist, I feel like I'm hopefully I'm doing my duty, you know, as an activist here in America through being an actress and shedding light and making sure that we're doing scenes where we're paying homage to Harriet Tubman, and we're doing scenes that are showing our strength and who we are, especially if we come together as a community. So I love that I get to play this character. Like, I've always, you know, Harriet Tubman is our beloved, like she's our real life superhero. So for us to, I can never say this enough, for us to keep her name alive and make sure that we're telling these stories, it's really, really important. And I think for Blackbird being the Harriet Tubman, she truly feels like she's doing the right thing. And sometimes Harriet Tubman had to do things that probably wasn't so nice to get things done, to make sure that the Underground Railroad was working properly. If it means knocking somebody out so we don't ruin it for all of us, it's like, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? She keeps a tight ship, and she makes sure that it's ran properly, and that's what I respect about her. And I still study her and learn as much as I can about who she is, and try to incorporate that into the character, because she was fearless, and I think that's who Blackbird is. And I love it. I can't get enough of the Blackbird character, seriously.
Something I really love about Black Lightning and Watchmen and shows like that is that you guys really touch base on historical events and figures that a lot of times aren't taught in school. What I wanted to know is, are they giving you kind of history lessons behind it, or is that something you have to take upon yourself to go and research yourself?
You know, we will hope that we've learned most of this stuff, and Harriet Tubman was one that I knew a lot about. Yeah. And I think it's your job as an actor to, what you don't feel like you know, you got to go out and do that research on your own and study it as much as possible. So that comes with the character work of who the character is, and laying that foundation and creating the world. Who's your character's inspiration? So that's the actor's work, I believe. At least that's how I approach all of my characters. By just doing intense research. Although I've been on this show for 3 years now, like, there's still research. There's still a word that I may not be familiar with, or someone from history that we didn't learn a lot about, that is my job to go and learn as much as I possibly can about it. Yeah.
What was it like working with Bill Duke? Christine told us a funny story about how the end of season 1, when he just shows up in the house, that was kind of the first real scene with him, and how you had a different reaction. What was your reaction working with him for the first time?
I'm in awe that we have Bill Duke on our show. I'm in awe of his performance and how grounded he is as an actor, and just the blessing that we can have him here with us, adding to the show. And he's so good at being mean and bad, but he doesn't push. And I think as an actor, I just sit, and I don't know if he's aware of how much I'm like literally staring at him. I'm like, Fisa, you gotta snap out of it. You gotta read your lines, because I'm so into just how grounded and how wise he is when it comes to acting. And I think we all can learn so much from him. But I'm like, every time I see him, I'm like bowing down, Mr. Duke. But he's so good at playing these characters, and what he brings to our show, I'm just, again, like, super happy that we can have him add the Odell character to all that we're doing.
Last question. Can I ask you,
Yes.
how has the response from the LGBTQ community been to your character? Because you're one of few.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Aisha Hens on 911 is like the only Black lesbian I know on TV.
Wow.
So, yeah, next to your character.
You're the first Black female.
Yeah, but just in general, just across genres, it's like there's not that many.
Yeah.
And so what responsibility do you feel that you have as an actress to portray what does it mean to be Black and queer on TV?
Well, first I'll say that the response has just been overwhelming. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you can imagine, you know, Black lesbians not seeing themselves in a positive light on TV, what that feels like to them. So that's been amazing. I've heard that they feel normal after seeing Thunder, especially because we've never made it an issue with her being a lesbian. There was no real conflict with her being a lesbian or a coming out episode that the family had to come to grips with and accept who she was. It was just, we were open and confident with her as a character, and she knew who she was, and she was that unapologetically. So that's amazing. I think for me, being a part of this show, other than breaking so many other barriers with being the first Black superhero family. I think being a lesbian and knowing that I'm being an inspiration for young lesbians, and not just Black, all lesbians who watch our show. And second part of the question was my responsibility. I think the responsibility is to just tell the truth of love and let that be the foundation. A lot of people ask, did I feel pressure to do this character justice? And again, as long as I create the backstories and let the foundation of love carry me, I feel like I'd be okay. I never really took it on as different from any other characters. I'm just making sure I did my work, understanding who she was, and played her strongly and confidently, then they would be inspired, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.